Hey there, welcome back. Last week we spent a few days in the Cotswolds in southwest England, and here is our 2-day itinerary trip from London. So follow along as we discover the beautiful English landscape of lovely green rolling hills, stone walls, woodland and charming little villages. I have been wanting to visit the Cotswolds for years, but it's not easily accessible by public transport, and I've always been afraid to drive on the other side of the road. However, my parents were visiting and my father was willing to try it out. So the first thing we did was to pick up a rental car. It took us around 2.5 hours from London to reach our first village. The drive was pretty smooth, though the weather was rubbish. However, as soon as we arrived in the Cotswold, the sun came out, much to our delight. Our first stop on our itinerary was not supposed to be Bford, but as soon as we passed through this village, we had to stop. It was also the perfect timing to have lunch. The town is famous for its high street filled with independent stores, tea shops and antique shops, as well as for its medieval bridge and impressive church. Both sides of the high streets are flanked by an unbroken line of ancient houses. We decided to stop by this inn that we selected quite randomly, but it turned out to be a good choice. We enjoyed traditional pub food in the cozy atmosphere next to the fireplace. Our first encounter with the Cotswolds made us excited for the rest of our journey. Next, we arrived at Lower Slaughter. Don't be scared by the name of it. The name actually comes from Old English slaughter, which has nothing to do with killing things and simply means muddy place. It was far from muddy though, it was actually very lovely. It's a super tiny village, but worth the visit in my opinion. We visited the church, which was very cute as well. We also passed by Copsell Road, which was voted the most romantic street in England, and I think we can all see why. Took the car for a few minutes and we arrived in Upper Slaughter. Yeah, I would say it's even smaller than Lower Slaughter, but still cute, though I think I prefer the latter. We also checked out the church, which was fine, but nothing super exciting about it. Then, unfortunately, the main attraction of the village, which is the old bridge, was under construction, so we couldn't see the village in all its glory. Next on our list was Porton on the Water. This is such a lovely village, though to be fair they were all lovely, it's really hard to pick a favorite. The village is famous for its 5 stone bridges, dating from between 1654 and 1911. The bridges are constructed from local stone and give the village its by name of Venice of the Cotswolds. We wander through the beautiful street along the water, and we pass through beautiful shops, the perfumery, as well as the motoring museum. After our stroll, we were ready to head out to our hotel. We booked one night at the Broadway Hotel, located, guess where, in Broadway. I was very impressed by this hotel. I really enjoyed the full experience and will highly recommend it. The hotel backs to the 16th century and it's located in the heart of the village. Here's a look at our room. It was beautifully decorated and named after the most famous winning horses of noble Cheltenham races. After chilling in our bedroom, we decided to explore Broadway on foot before going to dinner. It was already quite dark at the time and everything but the pubs were closed. However, I really enjoy looking at the beautiful shops as well as this art gallery where you can actually peek at the painting through the windows. We also saw Darth Vader and Trooper, a bit out of place, but still enjoyed the sight of it. We had time before reservation dinner, so we decided to go for an aperitif at the bar. It was then time for us to move to the restaurant and enjoy our dinner. The food and service were really good. We started the day with a delicious and very filling breakfast. They offered us toast and bread as a starter, and then we could select one sweet and one savory dish. I chose crumpets and eggs benedict. This breakfast lasted us through the rest of the day. Our first stop was the neighboring Broadway Tower. We didn't actually visit the tower, it was quite pricey and also very windy and cold, but the views were really nice. There are also some hikes starting from there when the weather is a bit better. We then headed to our first village, Mesbury. We're greeted by rain and then assured by a very intense parade of hail. We tried to get refuge in the church. We couldn't find the entry at first, but finally we were able to get in. Mesbury has been voted as the prettiest village in the UK. Personally, I thought it was pretty, though quite small, and I feel there are equally nice villages in the area. The main attractions are the Mesbury Court and the trout farm.
To eat trout.
After the hail episode, it was sunny again. Let me tell you, I think we had all the possible weathers during our trip. We headed to Mesbury to check out the Abbey, which was built around the 14th century. The inside of the church is pretty modern and not that interesting, at least to me. However, the architecture side was really charming. Few important people are buried there, including Athelstan, which is the first king of England. If you watched the show Viking, you probably heard of him. My boyfriend was really excited by the idea of seeing his grave. The last stop for the day was Castle Combe, again another village labelled as the prettiest in the area. It was raining cats and dogs when we arrived, so we stopped at a local pub to let the rain pass. Then we were finally able to explore the village, another key spot to put in your itinerary if you're visiting the Cotswolds for sure. The village has a rich history and the houses are made up of the honey-colored Cotswold stone. It also has been featured regularly as a film location, most recently in The Wolfman, Stardust and Steven Spielberg's War Horse. We wanted to check out Abbey, as is where they filmed some part of the first Harry Potter's movies. However, it was already closed when we arrived, so yeah, they closed pretty early, around 5 p.m. So we just headed out to our hotel. I have to say that I was a bit disappointed with the hotel. Don't get me wrong, it's a very nice hotel, but it was supposed to be 5-star and I was such on a high from the previous experience we had. So I was a bit bummed out, but it was still a nice experience overall, and if you're in the area, you should check it out. We had dinner at the hotel and the food was really good. I will highly recommend the restaurant. So here is our 2-day trip to the Cotswolds. I hope you enjoyed it and don't forget to come back for the next part of our trip where we're going to explore Beith.